Hi! Today we're going to learn about multiplying matrices. Let's say we have to solve this matrix multiplied by this matrix. So the first thing that we should do is we should first identify what type of matrix it is. So here we can see that this is a 2 by 4 matrix. And we're multiplying that with, here we have a 4 by 2 matrix. So there's one specific rule to when we can multiply matrices and when we can't. So we can only multiply matrices when the last dimension of the first matrix is the same of the first dimension of the second matrix. So if it's 2 by 4, then the next matrix, if you're supposed to multiply matrices, then the next matrix has to start with 4. So when you multiply these two matrices together, because this last dimension of the second dimension of the first matrix is the same as the first dimension of the second matrix, or basically we can just say that the number of columns in the first matrix must be equal to the number of rows in the second matrix. So whenever that happens, the dimension of the new matrix, which is the product, is this first one by the second one here. So 2 by 2. But let's say this was a 4 by 3 matrix, then we would have a 2 by 3 matrix. However, in our case, we only have a 4 by 2. So 4 by 2, meaning that our product will be a 2 by 2 matrix. So let's first draw our 2 by 2 matrix out. You can see that it'll be about this big. But how do we multiply matrices? Well, it's a little bit more complicated than just multiplying some terms with each other. You have to do something called a dot product. So what that means is we have to take these terms and multiply it first with this column. That's why it's very essential that the number of columns here equals the number of rows here. But when we multiply these together, we have to multiply them in a special way, which is a dot product. So what that means is we have to do, the way that we do it is we do this first term here multiplies with the first row here. So we have 1 times 12 plus the second multiplied with the second, 0 times 10 plus 0 times 10 plus 2 times 11, so plus 2 times 11 plus 3 times 5, the last one times the last one, 3 times 5. And so we see that when we multiply this way, the only way that it works out is when the number of columns equals the number of rows. So then each term can multiply with another one. 1 with 12, 0 with 10, 2 with 11, and 3 with 5. So the order in which they're placed is what they multiply in the other columns. So 2 is the third column, so it multiplies with the third row, which is 11. So when we add these together, we get this is equal to 12 plus 10, or plus 0, excuse me. So 12 plus 0 plus 22 plus 15. So 22 plus 12 becomes 24 plus 10, which is 34, plus 15 is equal to 49. But where in this matrix does 49 go? So that's another hard part. Well, it's sort of simple. We know that we're multiplying with the top row here and the leftmost column. So that means that it has to go in the top left section of the matrix. So the top row, left column. So row 1, column 1, which is 49. So 49 goes in row 1, column 1, that box. So now let's figure out what goes down here. Or actually, let's figure out what goes over here, because we're going to do all of the products with the first row here, then we're going to move to the second row. So take a moment to go over this before we erase it. Or actually, we'll just do it down here. So let's do this with a different color. We have 1 times negative 1, 1 times negative 1, plus 0 times 3, plus 2 times 0, plus 3 times 1. So see if you can do this yourself. And figure out where it goes. So we get 1 times negative 1 is negative 1, plus 0, plus 0, plus 3. That gives us a value of 2. So now we know that this goes in the first row, second column box. So it goes over here, 2. So now take a moment and try and figure out what goes in these two parts while I erase this. If you haven't gotten a chance to look at this, take a moment to look at it. So now we're going to move on to the second row. So in the second row, we first multiply the second row with the first column. So we get negative 1 times 12 plus 3 times 10, so plus 3 times 10, plus 5 times 11, plus negative 10 times 5. So we get negative 12 plus 30 plus 55 minus 50. This simplifies down to 18 plus 5, or 23. So what box does this go in, or what place does this go in our matrix? Well, we know it's the second row, first column, which is this section here. So we get 23 goes here. And let's just put this in red too. So 2. So now let's do the last product. So we get, now we're doing it with this column here, so we get negative 1, whoops, we can move over here, we get negative 1 times 1 plus, or it's negative 1, sorry, negative 1 times negative 1 plus 3 times 3 plus 5 times 0, excuse me, plus 5 times 0 plus negative 10 times 1. So negative 1 times 1, 3 times 3, 5 times 0, and negative 10 times 1. That gives us 1 plus 9 plus 0 minus 10, which is equal to 0. So where does this value go? Well, we know this product came from the second row, second column. So that means that it goes in this section over here. So the answer to this problem is the matrix is a 2 by 2 matrix, which is 49, 23, 2, 0. Today we learned about multiplying matrices. Thank you for watching this video.